awesome.
All right. I am talking with Paul Huang, violinist. He is in New York City. I'm in Santa Barbara, and we are going to chat about the opening of the Camerata Pacifica season that's coming up very soon. And since this video interview is going to go out all over Southern California, Paul, you'll allow me a few minutes. I'm going to have to go through the litany of cities that Camerata Pacifica, losing my voice now, is playing in. Here's the season. The opening of this new season, Camerata Pacifica, which is world-class music making, without doubt. And Paul Huang is part of that world-class music making. We're looking at September 13th coming up in Ventura, September 16th in San Marino, in Los Angeles on the 17th of September, and at the home base, Santa Barbara, on the Friday, the 18th of September. There's a little kind of a brief concert at 1 o'clock, and then the full recital is at 7:30 at the glorious Hahn Hall, marvelous acoustics at Hahn Hall. But let me just get through this, and then we're going to talk with Paul. The telephone number, all of you in Southern California, because I know that Camerata Pacific is handling all these ticket sales from one source, is in Santa Barbara. The area code is 805. The phone number is 884-8410. Throw a call at them wherever you are in Southern California and make a point, would you? All of you, please, my friends and colleagues and musicians and others that are watching this video. If you have never experienced Camerata Pacifica, you have never experienced world-class chamber music. It's absolutely one of the most fabulous assemblies of musicians brought together by Adrian Spence, flutist. Let's get going. We're talking about this concert. Let me just focus on Santa Barbara on the 18th. It's the same program, by the way. But you, for example, Paul Huang here is the recipient of the Avery Fisher Career Grant. Talk about pressure last year. What an honor. You are Taiwanese American. You play all over the world. I had to look at all the orchestras you've been playing with, just as a concerto soloist. It's quite amazing career you have already, and also a superb chamber musician. And I want to, when you go to Paul's website, everybody, and you need to, paulhuangviolin.com. It can't be easier than that. Watch his video. It's really quite. There's a video up there where he speaks about being a soloist, about his career, about his life. It's quite amazing. But there are also quotes from the New York Times, and I do not believe I've ever seen so many adjectives before for anybody. But I loved the idea, because I've heard you play the past couple of years, of honey and vinegar. There's something, your playing is so gorgeous, and you have that little spice also when required. Paul, tell me a little bit about about coming to this country to begin serious study at the Juilliard Pre-College School. What was that journey like, and how old were you when that happened?
Well, I started playing the violin when I was 7 years old, just shortly after my parents took me to a violin recital. And I was just so struck and amazed by how this little wooden box, as I called it, can produce such a, fantastic and glorious sound on stage without any, microphones or, any source. And it can just sort through, 2,000 feet tall. And then just also the idea of being on stage, the kind of presence of being on stage, something that I was very fascinated and very attracted to. So shortly after that concert, I told my parents that's what I wanted to do. And then since then, I haven't changed my mind yet. And so when I was 12, my violin teacher in Taiwan realized that maybe I do have some kind of talent, and then she convinced my parents to take me to come to New York to study at Juilliard, because she felt like she had already given what she can offer at that time, and then she felt like it's good timing for me to explore something different outside of Taiwan. So my mom came with me to New York when I was 12. And luckily I got into Juilliard College, and and New York has been home for me since then.
Mm-hmm.
Half of my life right now already.
Wow. Half of his life already, he says. By the way, we almost lost you. Because in your little video, you speak about your parents putting a fiddle in your hands at age 4, and and taking you to a lesson, and you decided you hated it or something.
Yes, yes. I think that was true according to my parents. Of course I had no recollections on that part, but I think that was somewhat true. Yeah.
Yeah, and you also have mentioned something, and it's really a condition of performing artists, perhaps, which is that, you know what, deep down inside somewhere, we're actually very, very shy. And you speak to that, but of course you became intoxicated with this idea of performing in front of people. Well, how did that, what was that moment, that barrier where you broke the barrier of shyness?
Well, I remember my first public performance was in front of a church assembly. And I realized myself as a kid, I was an awfully shy person because I didn't really know how to talk to people. And I was always the one who was at the corner and then just do things on my own and then read books and, rather, shy person. But that moment when I first played the violin in front of a public, I realized that I actually had a voice. And then I realized that everyone was listening to me so quiet. And I feel like that kind of power, that kind of addictions is intoxicating, as you say. It's very addictive. And so at that moment on, I realized that, wow, this is something very special. That actually I can communicate without words, but through music, that everyone listens to me. And I think that kind of power is quite amazing and quite astonishing what the music can bring people together.
And bring people out of shyness. I mean, music is really, of the art forms, I love all the art forms. We all have literature, dance, visual art, the whole thing, but there's something very
like performance. Yes.
Yeah, very, very, very deeply, profoundly moving to people always, with this aural sound that comes into their brains, essentially, and affects them. What's it like? You've been now I think this is the beginning of your 3rd season, we agreed, with Camerata Pacifica. What is it like working with your colleagues in Camerata Pacifica? What is that feeling when you come together? You come from all over the world and sit down for your first rehearsal.
Yeah, well, Camerata Pacifica, it's been like an amazing journey for me to be as a guest artist with them for the past 2 seasons, coming into my 3rd season now. And I must say I've been having a fantastic time just to be with the musicians that the Camerata Pacifica can offer. And of course, coming out to Santa Barbara is always a good thing, especially in the winter time in the East Coast. So, but seriously, I think the musicians that Adrian had brought together for the Camerata Pacifica is truly one of its kind, and we really enjoy each other's company, and then we really enjoy and then we really respect each other on the personal level as well as on the musical level. So whenever we are getting together for concerts together in Santa Barbara, it's always a bliss.
Yeah.
At least as far as I'm concerned, it's always to the time that I can spend in Santa Barbara. And in fact, actually, it was Ani Asnavorian, our wonderful cellist from Camerata Pacifica, who was the one who introduced me to this wonderful organization. So I'm, just so grateful for her. And then we continue to make great music together, and including this time in September, which we will do the great Huang piano quintet together, as well as Ani will do her Brahms.
Let me just run through that program then, coming up. And again, we're talking September. For Santa Barbara in particular, it's Friday evening, September 18th at Hahn Hall on the Music Academy of the West campus. There's a 1 o'clock performance, a little shorter program, and then at 7:30 is the full concert. But we're looking at Isai, the D minor solo violin sonata. That's you, right? You're playing.
That's me.
Wow, and that is a masterpiece all by itself. And we've already spoken about your honeyed and vinegared playing. It's going to be a great experience. And then Ani Aznavourian is going to play the cello sonata, the Brahms, the number one, the E minor. I find it interesting. Isai is D minor, the Brahms is E minor. The piano quintet, I think, is in a minor tonality, so to say. The Franck, to end the program, the Franck Piano Quintet. But who am I leaving out? Oh, Sarasate, the Romanza, Andalusia. Let's talk about the musicians. Agnes Gochevsky, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, is your violin colleague for the quintet, for the Franck Quintet, and she will be playing the Sarasate, yeah?
Oh, I will be playing
Oh,
guitar.
Oh, the Sarasate as well as the Isai. Fabulous, incredible. We have everybody in Santa Barbara in Southern California knows Warren Jones, the impeccable pianist. Ani Aznavourian, cellist, we've spoken about. She's well loved, certainly here in Southern California. Fabulous, incredible musician. And Richard O'Neill, probably the greatest violist in the world. I mean, let me just throw that out at you. Brilliant programming. What's gonna come up? What have you just finished, and then what's coming up later? You come to California, then what? You take off and go to what? Budapest? What?
No, I'm actually currently in New York at my home, which is rather rare for me to be at home, period. This summer has been extraordinary, and then let alone one of the busiest summers so far in my career. I was basically traveling since first week of June, and then I didn't come home until a few days ago. So it was 3 months of solid traveling, and I was already in Far East, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China, and as well as in Paris, and then in the States at Saratoga Spring for the SPAC festivals, and just about everywhere. And it's been a wonderful experience for me this past summer, and I'm looking forward for another exciting and adventurous seasons ahead. So. So after Camerata, I go to Alabama Symphony after that, which I made my debut last year. I stepped in on like 1 day or 2 days notice, filling in for someone.
And
that
which
was my debut with the Alabama Symphony.
Which was the concerto? What was it? Sorry, that you played.
The concerto that I did with the Alabama Symphony was the Walton Violin Concerto, which hardly nobody plays. And it was actually a miraculous phone call that they called. I'm probably they've called like 100 people that nobody plays the piece, and then so they call my manager and saying, "Oh, this Paul just plays the Walton," and it's actually one of my very very favorite piece, and it's a piece that is very close to my heart actually, and then I sing a lot. So the timing worked out, and then I was actually available for that week, and so I flew down there to Alabama, and then had a great time with the musicians, and also the hall is just wonderful. And I actually have done a recital there 2 seasons before in that very same hall, but now with the orchestra. So it was great to be back.
And just so everybody knows, the reason the Walton isn't played very much is it's so incredibly difficult. So, so bravo. Yeah. And this business of being a soloist, as you've just described, being, you come home for a few days and then off you go to other parts of the world. It's a far more complicated and trying career than a lot of the public at large understands. So it's you have to be in top shape, not only musically but physically, to manage this kind of worldwide travel. I'm going to, Paul, many thanks for taking a little bit of time out of your Saturday late afternoon in New York City. I'm going to just, if you'll bear with me, I want to make sure the phone number goes out to everybody in Southern California, and I'm going to just run by these the gig dates again. We're talking about Camerata Pacifica. We've spoken about this wonderful chamber music program that's coming up the beginning of the new season in September. And here are the dates for everybody. And then we're going to throw the number. And then I think I'm going to finally let Paul get back to practicing or whatever he does. September 13th in Ventura. Everybody in Ventura, get on the phone when I give you this phone number. September 16th in San Marino. September 17th in Los Angeles. Is that Zipper? Probably Zipper Hall, right?
Yeah, Zipper Hall at
Yeah.
Oakland.
Yeah.
Yes.
A magnificent performance space. Beautiful acoustic in Zipper Hall in Los Angeles on September 17th. And then in Santa Barbara, Camerata Pacifica's home base, Friday, September 18th at Hahn Hall, which is a glorious chamber music hall on the Music Academy of the West campus. Here's the phone number, everybody. You've run for your pens and whatnot. The area code is 805. The telephone number is 884-8410. Call it. Ask about tickets in your area of Greater Southern California, and hear, if you have not yet, one of the great chamber music ensembles in the world. It's really world-class music making. Paul Huang, many, many thanks. I look forward to seeing you.
Thanks,
See you.
Dan,
See
for
you.
having me.
Bye-bye.
See you.